Hello, my name is Sienna Campbell. The programme you're about to see comes from the Burren in County Clare, and it was made by Colin and Marjorie Johnston and Sean and Mary Beth Noonan, using RTE personnel and resources. It's about alternative lifestyles.
Colin and Marge came in to me. I took to them because they were ever so nice. And they were knocking around looking for to take in their caravan. And they had no place to go. So we told them to have a look around and see would someone let them in. So nobody did let them in. And out of that it started. I said to Matty, get some little bit and let them in for a few months.
And they've been here since?
And
been here since.
They settled down.
Started to build. Where I let them in, it was pure waste. He started to work and he pulled bushes out of it and
started up a little garden.
Rooted up some stones and started the garden.
At this stage they've become your neighbours and you'd even go visiting and that.
Our neighbours then, yeah. And very good to give a helping hand to putting in the bales of hay and all this. They're very good.
Are either of you actually from a rural background?
No,
not at all. We're both
from middle of the city. Both of us.
Well, I'm not from the middle of the city, but I'm from a town background.
Yeah, Colin's from Belfast.
When you were, say, a 15-year-old teenager, could you ever have seen yourself do what you're doing now?
Well, actually, yes. I kind of had a fantasy of my life in the future. I didn't ever think that it would come true because I lived in Portsmouth, a naval town. I went to secondary school. I was from a very poor working class background, and it was just an idle fantasy, probably based on the background that I had, which was living in a multi-storey block of flats on a housing estate. So the idea was always there. I didn't really ever think that I'd achieve it, and even after 7 years I'm still amazed at where I live, actually.
You might be interested in this, Sienna. I just dug this out the other day. It's actually one of the original drawings that I put together about 7 years ago. So it was before we ever came here. And as you can see, the original idea was simply to build a circular house. We gave these drawings to our friend Howard Connick, who's an architect. He suggested adding the extension part to the house.
But you've actually remained quite true to it, haven't you? Just looking at the design now.
The basic idea is exactly the same.
And you didn't actually have to use any sort of JCBs or anything like that then?
No machinery of any sort. Only muscle power, really.
Is that all local stone?
It is all local, yes. Most of it was given to us by neighbours that had old sheds that were falling in, or an old cottage on their land, and we brought it by horse and cart to the site here.
So you wouldn't have had to cut much of your own then, would you not?
No, there wasn't really any cutting stone involved. It was just a matter of choosing the stones and putting them together in the right order.
Colin, where did you get the reeds for the roof?
Well, we started off by buying a lot of reeds, and that's the reeds you'll see lower down on the house. But then those ran out and we were forced to go and cut them ourselves, which was an interesting experience as it turned out. Now all those upper reeds are the ones that we cut ourselves on a bog nearby. We both felt very much that we wanted to live in a round house. We'd both looked at various round structures.
We also wanted something that would fit into the landscape, I think, which I believe this does. Yeah.
Yes, so in fact we went back to looking at much earlier models, and this house is built roughly after the fashion of some very early types of houses it was a native tradition here which lasted for hundreds of years, probably from Neolithic times right up to the early Christian period, the building of round houses with thatched conical roofs.
One of the most difficult things surely must have been actually building the house on your own.
Actually, I think I found the most difficult job was bringing the stone onto the site, because it was very slow, and it's not a very inspiring job either. You don't see anything wonderful to look at except a pile of stone when you brought it on. Whereas the building, at least as you did each stage of the building, you could stand back and say, well, there's what we've done this week, or there's what we've done this month, you know.
It was very hard on the hands, I found. I actually did find it the most difficult job, I must say, because I found the stonework very heavy, and found that my hands weren't really big enough. Like Colin's hands would be bigger than mine. And I found that after a few weeks my fingers were always swollen, and that lasted for the whole time that we were building, so it was very hard to clench your fists at all in the evening at the end of the day, and that went on for at least 2 years really. And backaches. We all had strained muscles. Colin broke his fingers.
Yeah,
and
I did break 2 fingers.
Was quite hard work.
There's also sometimes a lot more work than you really want to do, but that still is rewarding. You know, once you've got round it and done it, you've done more than you wanted to do, and you find that you're capable maybe of doing more than you thought you could do.
Your garden actually reminds me of something that you'd see in a fairy story book. It's full of colour.
When we first came here, it was our vegetable garden. It was our only vegetable garden. And now we're trying to change it into the orchard plus the herb garden. And this year I'm experimenting with a lot of different plants for dyeing wool as well.
Obviously, the pumpkin is terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really for decoration. We have other ones that we grow to the normal size for vegetables. You could step in there. I'd like to cut this pumpkin down.
Oh, hold this here, is that it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it? Do you eat it or what? Oof, it's quite heavy.
Right.
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie, I think, with that one.
So, Margie, how are your experiments going with using plants for dyeing wools?
I've had some very interesting results from some of the rarer plants. I send away for the plants to... there's a rare seeds company in England where you can get the seeds quite easily. But
you can't actually get any of the seeds here in Ireland for those plants, then?
not for the ones that I want. The more unusual plants you can't, no. I have to send to Britain for them.
That's very unfortunate. Are we in your way there, Colin? Are you okay?
I know, you're all right. Yeah.
Do you ever use chemical fertilisers in your fruit bushes?
No, we wouldn't use any chemicals on the fruit bushes at all, because we have a surplus of goat manure, which is what this is, and of course it's being an organic manure, it's a lot better for the soil. So, I mean, as far as we're concerned, it's a waste product. We don't have to pay anything for it, and it's the best thing for the garden.
Marjorie, would any of the plants or herbs in your garden have medicinal properties?
Quite a few of them do, actually. But this one in particular, this is a really valuable plant that's called comfrey. And it's kind of multi-purpose herb in that you can use it to feed animals, and you can use it as a green manure in that you can dig it straight into the ground. And it's also quite a valuable medicinal herb for lots of different purposes.
Would you ever use this with the animals?
We do, yeah. In the winter time, we would feed them with this because it stays green for a long time during the year. And we also use it medicinally as well, in poultices for strains. And you can make an ointment with comfrey as well, which is quite valuable. And we found that it worked when our goats had goat pox.
And would you use it on yourself for, if you had a sprain or a cut or something?
Oh, we would, yeah. I've used it on other people. We had a friend who had injured his knee playing football, and we used it in that case as well, and the swelling went down really quickly. It's quite a magical herb, really. And I use it for dyeing wool as well, and we have it in teas.
What colour would it pick up on your wools?
Green.
Green?
Almost the same colour green that it is there.
Yeah.